Did you know that parents rank teaching financial literacy as the toughest life skill? That's where Greenlight comes in, the debit card and money app made for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and track spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn how to earn, save, and spend responsibly, while parents have peace of mind knowing smart money habits are being built with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Wondery. That's greenlight.com/Wondery.
Kids, listen to your mother.
Mom!
Welcome to Between Us Moms with Katie Crafts-Morg and Hallie Stevens-Drake.
Hey mamas, today we're joined by April and Jen Davis from TLC's hit series Seeking Sister Wife. They've shared their family story with millions of viewers, but today we want to go even deeper and talk about what it really means to build a family outside of traditional norms. We're so grateful that they're here to share their perspective and experience with us. April and Jen, welcome to Between Us Moms.
Hi!
Yay!
Thank you for having us.
We are so excited, and there's so much to talk about, so we're going to dive right on in. For anyone who is not familiar with your family's story, can you kind of share a little bit about how your family came together and the whole backstory? If you can give them just like, the Cliff Notes, which I know is hard to do, but yeah.
Yes. So Nick and I met in college, and he and I had been dating for about 8 years when I met Jen. Very much into the poly lifestyle at that point already, and wanting to find someone that would be with us forever. And so I met Jen at work and introduced her to Nick. And honestly, it was just, it just clicked right away. We all got along really well. And before you knew it, we're all living together. And now here we are 8.5 years later and 2 babies, and things are going wonderful.
Yes. And congratulations, by the way, on the most recent addition to the family. How is it now having, because you guys have 3 children, right?
Yes. We have a son. My son is 18 now. It's crazy how time flies. And then we also have our daughter, Vera, who is 3, and our daughter, Charlene, who we also call Charlie. And she's almost 5 months now. She's a few days away.
Okay. Are you guys sleeping?
No.
Jen, I'll let you take that.
Yes, yeah. Thankfully, to be able to rely on April and Nick and even William too, and Vera. I mean, as a family unit, we're all taking care of each other at different times. There was a time the other day I told Vera, I'm like, look after Charlie. I gotta go to the kitchen, but just like make sure she's okay. I gotta leave, come back, so we all make sure we look out for each other and make sure we can sleep when we can. And thankfully, the littles are able to sleep through the night, which really helps.
Yeah. Busy household though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you feeling postpartum?
Good. Yeah. And it's all, honestly, it's all thanks to the love and support that I receive, from my family. I mean, it could definitely be a struggle. Like 2 is a lot different than 1, I'll say that, as littles. And so, to be able to, if I'm in the bathroom, for example, like Vera and Charlene and William, like I'll have like a full mommy and daddy to like look up to and ask, for help. And so, I mean, that's just like a huge thing, and vice versa, right? If April's stepped away or Nick, it was a different postpartum this time around, as with bringing like another little in. But yeah, thankfully smooth.
Oh, good.
That's nice to hear, because on this podcast, Hallie and I are always very open about our own struggles with postpartum, and it wasn't as smooth sailing as it sounds like it was for you. April, do you feel like you were able to like be that support for her and to help make the process? I mean, she kind of talked about it, but I'm curious from your perspective too.
Yeah. Charlie came about a week early, so she surprised us. And it was the kind of thing where we barely had everything done. We had barely everything ready. And so thankfully for that, I was able to have a lot of things prepped and a lot of things ready for Jen. But there was quite a few things where it was like, oh, I forgot that, or I forgot that. But it's easy because Nick can just stay home with her and I can run to the store and grab that and bring it back and have dinner ready or different things like that. So it was nice to where Jen didn't have to be completely by herself if I have to go and run and do something, because Nick is also there to help her and just be there in general for Vera. Like, he had toddler duty 100% when Charlene was super, super little, because I was basically trying to run the house, Jen's taking care of the baby, but he's able to take care of the toddler. And we were able to kind of divide it up in that way. So it was nice. It was nice. It's just, essentially, it was just kind of the same thing, except for we just had this little baby crying in the house. So it was nice to be able to have it divide and conquer type of thing.
More hands. Yeah,
I
right?
was just gonna say that. Jinx, Katie. Yes. Moms know more hands is more hands is more
Yeah.
hands. It's the best.
Yes.
This is sort of jumping around a little bit, but I'm noticing that we're not talking about Theresa.
Yes, you'll have to tune in to see how everything goes with that. So, Theresa, we have a whole bunch of ups and downs with Theresa this season. And so we're kind of keeping that under wraps until the end of the season to be able to include her in conversation, if you will.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yep,
Fair
that's
enough.
fair.
Are you guys happy?
We are very happy. We are
Okay.
extremely happy. I couldn't
Always.
tell you, with how things are going, we are happier than we could have ever hoped for. So things are going really good.
Oh, good.
I
Oh,
want
good.
to go backwards for a minute because I think a lot of people, when we were researching for this and I went on like Reddit threads and I was curious, what people think and what people say. And I think people would love to hear, I guess, what originally drew you to the idea of a plural marriage? Like, and what
Okay.
did those early kind of conversations look like, especially between the two of you?
Yes, yes, yes. I guess I'll start because I was the one that introduced Jen into it. So it was kind of it started out as just friends. Like, Jen and I legit just started out as just friends. And it was the kind of thing where we brought her around us and she got to see just how we are about things, how we were about William, how we are about house things. Started hanging out with us, seeing how we do dinners and just could see different areas where having three of us adults in the house was fun. And so it all started out with the fun. Let me tell you that. It wasn't about what was easier or what helped out in the house. Honestly, it all started out with having fun. And we just realized that we vibed really well together. Nick and I had been in a plural relationship previously, so we knew kind of what that was about. And it was just the kind of thing where I just started to talk to Jen and see how she felt about Nick and see if she's ever been in this kind of relationship, which at the time she hadn't, and see if she would be even interested in something like that. And to my surprise, she was already feeling it. She had already, put on the Team Davis t-shirt, if you will, and we were already doing that thing, and it just kind of just, after getting a solid answer from Jen that she was definitely interested in keeping this rhythm going, we just kind of went with it and kept going, and then just kind of developed it, further as we went. And I'll let you take that too, Jen. You tell your
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, please.
I think without even hearing about this type of relationship and, because before I was only really familiar with monogamy and, two people together. So, without knowing about any of that, it's just weird how easily I slipped into it. But being someone that has a huge like family mentality, like I like big families, like I like, always having someone to talk to and someone there for you and a lot of people in the house, like that's something that I always liked and kind of wish I was a part of. So, maybe that was the biggest draw for me, kind of looking back in hindsight, is feeling that support, feeling that care that I, had always really wanted to feel, but had never thought that I would be able to kind of feel it or have it in this way. So, but I didn't really question it. It was something that I'm just going to say, let me see if it works or not. I'm not going to automatically judge and think, oh, this is absolutely not going to work or this is not for me. But, it was something that was definitely worth pursuing based on who Nick and April are as people. I was able to see that they had something solid. So, it was worth pursuing.
I will say that one thing that really stands out about your family and your relationship is the love between you two. And for everyone who's just meeting you for the first time listening to this podcast, it's interesting to me that you two are the ones that got married. I'm curious how you keep the foundation so strong between you, especially when you're navigating the complexities. I mean, marriage in and of itself is complex. And then you add in this dynamic. I imagine it comes with additional stressors or things to deal with. And so I'm curious how you guys manage to keep that love and that respect so strong, because it is very clear as a viewer that you guys care about each other deeply.
Oh, thank
Yeah, I
you.
mean, I remember the day so clearly. We're just in the living room and April's like, I have this idea. Like, how about we do like it like this and then let's do it. And for there we just kind of ran with it. But it was something that we, even at that point, we felt so solid, that we didn't really need to kind of put a label on it, so to speak. But, the way that it all came about and everything, it just like, yeah, like that makes sense. We should do that. And that's a great idea. And it kind of laid the foundation of, how we want our future growth to be. Should we add more people and the balance makes sense. But, I've always said like April's like we're like yin and yang, like we'll be able to bounce things off each other and, go back and forth in a way that I think is definitely necessary. She's able to support me in a lot of my thoughts and feelings, but she's able to be like devil's advocate also in another way. Like we're able to like set our feelings aside and kind of like bounce things off each other. Like we want the most efficient way, we want the best way. Like ultimately, April and I, like we want just the best for our family and like we have the same end goal. And so for that, we're like, set everything else aside. What's the best way? Like, how are we going to be the best moms we can, the best partners we can, and trial and error. Like, I'm far from perfect, but like, there's a lot of grace involved. April's, shown me a lot of patience and, I think it's like really about finding that person that is willing to give you that grace and give you that space to like figure your mom out, figure your wife out, and like what that all means. And so, yeah, like I couldn't have done this without April for sure.
When Nick and I had been together for so long, I had kind of it in my head like, I don't think I ever want to get married. I think I like this just like the way it is, you know what I mean? And I wasn't really sure. But when I met Jen and things just started getting more serious, Nick and Jen started getting along really well. It was the kind of thing where I was like, I want this to be solid. I want this to be a forever thing. I want Jen to know that I'm serious. It's one thing for two people in a relationship. They can go their whole life without getting married and they feel connected to each other just the same. But there's something about bringing a third person in that I didn't want her to feel like a third wheel. And let's be honest, Jen and I are the ones that are working. We're the ones that are maintaining the household. And we're the ones handling all the finances. We're the ones doing all of that kind of stuff. It just makes more sense for Jen and I to be married to each other legally. We were able to buy this house together. We were able to do all kinds of things together, but it was still romantic. Like Nick and I asked her to marry us together. You don't ever get to see that on camera because obviously it was years and years and years ago. But Nick and I were the ones that proposed to Jen together. We asked her to marry us. And as far as like down the line of working through anything or any issues or anything like that, like it's natural. Every grouping of people, friends or relationships are going to have those issues, right? I'll say this though. Nick has probably been the biggest advocate for us in regard to making sure we bring things to the kitchen table, if you will. He will, if there's any kind of weird mood or anything, he'll be like, hey, what is that? What are we looking at? You know what I mean? And thankfully, Jen and I are comfortable enough with each other, especially in the beginning, to go ahead and be like, you know what? when you said this, I thought you meant that. And just be able to talk it out, because what we came to find is that every single time, like literally every single time, not sometimes, not 99%, every single time, if there's something funny feeling, it was always a misunderstanding. And it always came down to making sure that we communicated to know that that was what it was. It was a misunderstanding. And the thing is I'll give this to Jen. Jen is probably the most understanding person in the world. Like you could give her any issue and she'll come up with something that it's like, well, we could probably something, you know what I mean? It's that optimism where she's always able to see the good in something. She's always able to pull that out in it. And so we just work together really well in that way. It's like she's always looking for the good, and I'm always looking for someone to be kind of funny. and we're able to do that work together to where it's like, whether it's someone outside of the family or inside of the family, we're able to work together for things. And honestly, even like jealousy has really been a non-issue for us for years and years and years. But if you reach back into the beginning, naturally there's going to be a jealousy thing, right? There's going to be something that comes up. But like I said, we always ended up finding out that it always ended up coming down to a misunderstanding. We're misunderstanding how someone's feeling. We're misunderstanding where someone is coming from. And like Jen said, and Nick tells us this all the time, is we have to, and we do always make sure that we keep in mind that we're on the same team, we have the same goals, and we're trying to accomplish the same things, and that we're not against each other. And I think that's probably the biggest thing of our success, is that we hear each other and we don't just wait for our turn to talk. You know, we actually try to soak it in.
Katie literally just said that.
Yeah.
If you go to our Instagram, we had just clipped that moment out of our show from like 2 weeks ago. That whole, like, essentially what you just said. We're a team. Everything we
really?
do together. Yeah, literally.
I actually said it to my husband this week, because we were kind of like bickering and just kind of being like snippety with each other. And I was like, you know what? I was like, we are on the same team, same end goal here. We got to get it together. And he was like, you're right. And it's such a good reminder, and it's refreshing anytime I hear another relationship going through those things. It's like nice that we're all having the same kind of conversations and reminders. So yeah, I appreciate hearing that. April, you kind of touched on this and you mentioned the finances, and I think you describe yourself as like the breadwinner. Nick stays home to do research. How did you kind of arrive at this division of roles? And can you explain like exactly how this works without, I guess, resentment building, like the definition of roles, and like, does he cook more? Is he with the kids more? And how do the three of you kind of talk about finances?
Yeah. I'll correct my statement. Jen is probably the breadwinner, if I'm going to be honest. Jen makes a lot more money than I do.
Okay.
Just throwing that out there. Now, I make good money, but my girl makes a lot more than me. But no, in all seriousness. So when Nick and I first got together, I've been working full time since I was 16, and he actually was technically working at the college that we went to. He was like a history assistant teacher there. And so he was teaching and I was working, and we were both doing school full time. But then I had my son at the end of college, and it was the kind of thing where Nick and I weren't together then. We were just friends. That's just how we met. And after I had my son and went through whatever I went through with his father, and ended up, on my own and bumping into Nick again and reuniting with him, it was the kind of thing where when we first got together, he's working, I'm working, and it got to a point to where, let's move in together. Let's do all this. Well, he's amazing at staying up all night with the kid. You know what I mean? He's amazing at running on 3 hours of sleep. Let me tell you, I'm not.
Me either.
And I had this 6-month-old baby at the time when Nick moved in with me. And it was just the kind of thing where I'm not made to stay at home. I'm really not. I get cabin fever, if you will. And I just can't. I have to be out. And I would much rather, and I feel better about things when I'm, And not that I'm a control freak, but I feel better about things when I'm in control of the money, when I'm in control of making sure things go well. I have that very financial mind. So I'm a numbers person. I like to have all my numbers in order, and I like to know everything about it in detail. Nick, like I said, Nick's a history buff. He's a political science buff. He's not a numbers buff. And so that's my area. And so it got to a point to where Nick is basically, for the first 5 years of my son's life, it was just Nick and I in my son's life. He took care of William all the time. He was the one that was home with him. He was the one that got up with him in the middle of the night. And it got to a point to where I was like, I don't want to have him in daycare. I don't want to have him have to go and pay someone to take him somewhere. And he and I discussed it, and we decided that just I was making good money. It would make more sense for the person who's making more money to stay home. So we started it there, him staying home from there. And as my son got older, and he started to be able to do things on his own, it was still good to have Nick in the house. But let's be honest, it got to a point where I'm loving that Nick's at home. I'm claiming trophy husband all day. and, and I took great pride in it, honestly. I took pride in the fact that I was the breadwinner and he was at home with the baby. It just got to a point to where I was like, this is how I like things to run. I get to be the boss bee around here, if you will, and I get to take care of everything. And he took care of things at home. He helped with cleaning, he helped with cooking, he helped with taking care of William's, all the things that you do with a toddler at that point. And then as William got older, William was about 8.5, 9 when Jen came along. And she just kind of saw how well it was working. And we were able to financially hold it down like that. So really her coming along just added icing to the cake, and it just made it even better. And it's so cliche, but we really do think about it like a lion's pride. We like the male lion to be home with the cubs while the women are out there hunting. What I mean?
Do you guys all share a bank account, the three of you?
No. So Nick actually, Nick doesn't have a bank account.
I love that.
Okay.
I love it.
So he it's just Jen and I that have bank account. We do have separate bank accounts. We do have a business account that we share together with Jen and I that I think Nick might be on that account. I'm not sure, but it's really just Jen and I, and we keep our money separate, but we pay for everything together. It's gotten to a point really now where I've developed such a strong relationship with Jen, and Jen has developed such a great financial mind now after being in the field that she's in and learning all the stuff that I've learned and things like that, to where it's easy now, to where it's just like, you pay these bills, I pay these bills, and we split these bills. And if Nick needs money, well, he has a Cash App for that, and we'll just send him some money to go do something. But really, we manage all the money. We manage everything in the house, and we just make sure if him or the kids need anything, that is taken care of.
Okay.
I love a woman who works, and I love a dad who stays at home. I like the thought, we're breaking the stereotypes, we're breaking the mold, we're doing it differently. I did think it was interesting how Nick explained it on the show, that it's like he wants you guys to have your own financial independence so you never feel like you have to stay. And the number of women that I have known in my life who have stayed in bad marriages because they were financially dependent on the man, I mean, the list goes on and on. I could name several right now, which I won't.
Right.
So I think that is very, I was like, that's actually not
really smart.
Yeah, it puts Nick in kind of that situation where he is dependent on us, to where he is kind of in a bind if he wanted to leave, which we're never planning for that. So it's like Jen and I are lifers. We are in this. We talk about growing old together. We talk about retirement plans. We do that kind of planning. So
yeah.
Anywhere. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. As moms, we're doing everything in the spirit of our children. Like, everything is for our kids. The second you have a baby, it's just like your perspective, the way you live your life, the choices you make. It's all about your kids. And I'm curious for you guys, what values or lessons are you hoping that your children take away from growing up in this plural family?
Most importantly, that they do what they want to do, and that they know that it's okay to do that. Obviously, if they're not hurting anyone else, for them to be able to do what they want to do and be happy doing that. And we're able to show them that through our lifestyle. With William growing up into this, as the older sibling. Thankfully, there wasn't really too much backlash in regards to like his friends at school, and hopefully that continues, and if that comes up with the girls, we'll cross that bridge if we get there. But for them, it's just knowing that love comes in all shapes and sizes and forms every single day. They know that they have multiple people to rely on, multiple people to ask for help. And so they live and breathe the benefits. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe April, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think William has ever asked like, oh, why are we doing this? I think it'll just all make sense with just living through it and growing up with it. And thankfully, we all have the same values, especially at this point. So we're able to give that to our kids, in different scenarios. It's like, oh, what would April say in this scenario? I'm going to say that to our kids. And so, yeah, just making sure, of course, like number one, that they feel loved, most importantly, over everything that they know and feel our love.
I like hearing that because love does come in all shapes and sizes. And I'm so glad that it's been smooth for William because, yeah, kids can be
The
judgy
worst.
when they don't understand
Yeah.
something. I'm curious, like, outside of William, like for you guys, how have people reacted to the way that you're raising your kids? And have you had to set any boundaries or correct any misunderstandings, either with your own families or your own friends?
I think like especially with even with my own mom, it's like, well, but are you thinking about the kids and like what are they gonna think about it? Which to me was like super offensive because like as a mom, right? I'm like, well, yes, I'm thinking about the kids. It's like that's all I do. Like, of course, I've like, thought through this and like how it would be to raise children in this scenario, but it's like I know that like the benefits just super, super outweigh, like let's say if things were to happen in school and God forbid they're alienated, but like I feel like we have the structure and we have the support to be able to provide them an understanding like they don't have to listen to those kids, bullies are just bullies, like, and unfortunately, bullies, it's just because they have their own things that they're going through in their own personal life that they want to inflict harm on others. So thankfully that we would be able to have those conversations. But definitely with family, it's like telling them that yes, like they might have conversations with their friends or anyone else that they might have to answer to. But thankfully, though, once it gets to that point, they'll already know what to say. They'll already have the feelings that they do of like, well, it works for us,
Mm.
And so that's ultimately what I tell my mom and whoever else that asks is, we're backed by a system. We're not just going to do things arbitrarily, and we think through a lot of things together, like decisions that we make. So if it's gotten to this point, I think that, ultimately it's because we believe that the kids will be okay.
Is your mom supportive now?
I mean, that conversation was just a week or so ago. So, but it just goes back to the whole plural relationship thing in general. It's something that she wouldn't choose for me.
But
But
I'll say this, as far as Jen's parents, though, we've traveled there and stayed at their house all together as a family for Thanksgiving or traveled there and stayed overnight in their house. So they're very supportive in the sense of like,
They're welcoming.
yeah, they're welcoming. They're welcoming of us as a group. And we've spent lots of holidays with them as a family before the kids and after the kids. So even before the kids came along, we would be over there for holidays and stuff. So
Oh, good.
Okay.
yeah,
yeah.
she just has these questions, and I think she doesn't want to ask them a lot of the times because she wants to be polite and this and that. But, it's like she'll definitely get curious.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to think it's all in the spirit of understanding you, and just like wanting to really know you. And I think doesn't every mom
Mm.
just want to be in on their kid's life? And so I'm sure because it isn't the typical relationship, I'm sure it's just wanting to know about what she doesn't know.
And maybe not knowing how exactly to ask things in, it's something new for
Hard.
her. So she's, and that's what I would hope as well.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Hal. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure, I mean, you've already kind of talked about like misconceptions about being in a plural family, but what I like is it's really wholesome. You guys are wholesome. I mean, you're talking about doing, I think that that's a misconception. I'll just be honest that like I had watching the show, I'm like, this actually is a real family unit and you guys love each other and you take care of each other. It's so evident. We've touched on Theresa a little bit. We're going to watch the whole storyline unfold with Theresa. I think it's safe to say she's not in the picture anymore, but this show is called Seeking Sister Wife. So I'm curious, are you still interested? Because, you had Danielle before, who is no longer around, and you've had this experience, whatever happens with Theresa. So I'm curious, are you guys thinking we're staying just the three of us, or is there still intrigue and interest in growing this family even more?
There is absolutely intrigue and interest in growing the family more. I think Jen just sent me a message of somebody that she is corresponding with just yesterday. So Jen and I are still on the dating apps.
Oh,
Jen
fun.
has definitely taken the lead, and we are talking to a couple of people right now. So yeah.
Wow. Jen, good for you, by the way, 5 months postpartum
I
and
know.
hitting those dating apps. What?
Nice.
I know.
Yes,
Do
Yeah.
you
yes.
guys, when you are on the dating apps, do you like, what are the rules? Like, are there rules where you have to tell each other, like, hey, I'm talking to this person, I'm interested? Like, how does that work?
Oh, I mean, not really. I think like it just gets to a point to where like if Jen or I connect with someone, because we have our profile set up as like all of us,
Uh-huh.
so they kind of get a what they're getting into, kind of, if you will. And so if we start conversating with someone and it seems like it's going to a point to where we're going to maybe start texting them and get off the dating app, that's when we'll circle it around and be like, all right, guys, this is who we're talking to. Because what we typically like to do, just because it's, how the world is, we like to do a FaceTime as early in the conversation as possible. So once it gets to a point to where it's switching over and we're actually texting, Jen and I will usually try to set up a FaceTime earlier than later, and her and I will get on a FaceTime with the person just to verify that they're real.
Yeah, we can't get catfished. We
I know.
cannot
Yeah,
get catfished.
right,
Smart.
right. Like we don't want that. So that's usually where we start to bring it together. Nick usually is made aware that there's someone in the works because we're out somewhere taking a FaceTime while he's with the kids alone. You know what I mean? So he knows something's going on. So we'll usually do it like that though, and then kind of just see how it goes from there.
Fascinating. I love this. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question that is coming from me personally, and for anyone who has not watched the show yet, which I mean, at this point, they're all invested. They're all going to be watching if they haven't already. My instant question is, what is a sleeping arrangement? And the size of that bed is huge. And that you guys have your boom boom room for your private lovers' time seems so
Mhm.
smart to me. But I'm curious, was that also like, I feel like there has to be a lot of trial and error and figuring things out. Was that something you initially were just like, this is what's going to happen?
So initially we lived in a house that was really, really small when we first moved in together. And Jen and Nick and I would sleep in a California king together. We would all sleep together every night, like since the very beginning. Like we would just all pile in together. And then we had a spare bedroom that we used for the boom boom room, if you will, back then. But it was always just all of us sleeping in the same bed together. So then when we wanted to start expanding the family in a very serious way, we were like, this ain't gonna work. We tried to squeeze four of us in that bed and we made it work, but it was really tight.
Not to mention,
So,
does anyone snore?
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I'm probably the loudest out of us three, but I don't. Jen is like completely silent when she sleeps.
She's a mouse.
Yeah, when Danielle was with us, Danielle would snort really loud, and she would tell you that, so I'm able to say it. Like she would even admit that she snored really loud. And then Nick, I think Nick and Jen are pretty similar. They're both pretty quiet.
Oh,
So I'm kind of lucky in that way that I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, so then we decided, you know what? Let's just try to see if we can get a bigger bed. And we started doing some research and found that we can get a custom bed made. And then we just, decided to go down that path. When we got a bigger house, we needed a house that had a big enough wall to fit it. So
Yeah.
when we started shopping for houses, we had to make sure whatever room we had at least a 13-foot wide wall to fit the bed.
wow.
But yeah.
Doesn't
So
Shaq, I feel like Shaq, I always heard had to have a custom made bed because that was the
That
first thing I thought
tracks.
when I saw your bed.
I'll say this: when they delivered the bed, they said the only other people we've ever delivered this for was someone in the NBA. So we're like, okay, like
Shaq.
Yeah, Shaq. It was
Shaq.
Shaq. Confirmed. Yeah.
Answer solved.
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
right.
How, kind of on that same note, how do you guys set up boundaries to kind of protect your emotional health and also your privacy when two of you are using the boom boom room? I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Gosh, I mean, at this point with Jen and Nick and I, we're very much like this is just our relationship. We're
Yeah.
very regular with it. But we always use protection. Like we always make sure Nick use protection with anyone that we're dating. And that's really more him. I mean, like I'm sure like if he wasn't, then Jen and I would probably be like, hey, you should probably, but he initially was like, this is how I'm gonna make sure we're safe. I don't know, Jenna, what do you think?
We all want the same experience for each other. So we all want to kind of give each other room to do that when we all want to. If we're talking to someone, dating someone, that's a whole other thing. Of course we want them and Nick to have that connection. So we give them room to do that. And of course we're not asking questions, like we get it. I mean, it's part of the dating and part of seeing if there's a connection. But even behind the scenes when it's just us, like in the household, like I think I'm always like I'll look after the kids whenever, however. If you want to go up there, like I got the kids, like it's never an issue. I don't want it to ever feel like it's a problem that I'm like, okay, got these kids, go and do it. I'm looking at the time, I'm timing you. Like, it's never about that because like I would want that for myself too. And I get that. I receive that from April. It's always like make sure you have time. Like being a mama, it's crazy. It's busy, and especially with two littles, it's like oh no, I feel like there's like almost less and less time now to like, also kind of be a wife and whatever and be up in the room. And so I think like going into that understanding, like April and I both have like, let's teamwork this just to make sure everyone's taken care of.
Yeah.
It's like deeply evolved, I have to say. Like that to say like we all want each other to have that same experience. I'm like, wow, that is truly evolved. It's super loving and sweet, and I think it shows why you guys have lasted so long and are so strong.
You mentioned, I want to go back to your mom really quick, Jen. Would you be comfortable or how would you support your kids one day if this was kind of the relationship that they wanted to be in for themselves? Because I do imagine, like we've been talking about, like, yeah, there's some hard challenges, but also it is nice. And you guys are very evolved. And so I'm just curious how you would support them or advice you would give them or how you would handle that. Like, would you want that for them?
Yeah, I think like especially living in this kind of relationship, like I think, and especially by this point, I mean, we're coming up on 9 years together, like we know what works and what doesn't. So I feel like we would be able to advise on like, here's what definitely doesn't work. And, I think the hardest thing, is we can only advise them on like, here's the things that like have worked and here's the things that haven't worked and take that and go and fly. And if it doesn't work, we want them to know like it's gonna be okay. I think ultimately for us it came down to like it's the people here. It's April and Nick, and it's like the people that formed the structure, and that's part of why it works out okay, not just the arrangement and the schedule and this and that. It's the people. So but again, like that can be a hard thing is to determine like, is this person worth fighting for? If there's a fight, and there's a lot of nuance to it, but I think ultimately going to be explore whatever relationship structure that you want, as long as no one is getting hurt, go and pursue that and try it out and see if it works for you. And maybe you think it works, but maybe not with these people, where we're going to be in full support of whatever structure they want to do. But I think we would be able to advise, even if it was a monogamous relationship, because things still apply there too.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback just, I think for all of us with our kids, our biggest thing, especially in like having both a boy and girls, like, would you want this for them? Would you want William to have multiple wives, or would you want one of your girls to be in a relationship with multiple women? And I think all of us are equally on the same page of saying, I would want for them whatever they want for them. You know what I mean? Like, what do they want for themselves? Are they happy with that? Does that make them content? Is that how they want to live their life? Then hell yeah, that's what we want. We want them to be happy. We want them to live whatever life they want to live. And if even if society doesn't support them, they know their family does.
Spoken like a true mom. That's right. Well, I'm trying to think. I have so many questions left, but I feel like we should just wrap it up on one last little teaser. One, if you could describe your family dynamics and your family right now in one word, what would it be? And what can you tease for us on what's to come?
Oh God, in one word.
I know, putting you on the spot.
I mean, I'll say this. This is the same word I use for everything when I describe our family, and that is fun. We are fun. We are a lot of fun. We have fun. That's what we tell our kids. The only thing that matters in what you're doing is if you're having fun. Don't matter. So I would say that our family dynamic tied up in one word is fun. And you'll see a lot of that fun. And in this season, you'll see us making sure that we are able to hold on to that fun in our family with very hard decisions that we have to make throughout the season.
Ooh,
yeah.
Interesting. Jen, I am curious, were cameras rolling when you gave birth?
No. With Vera, definitely were. With Charlie, no. And it was so interesting. Like all the phones were put away. Like we were all just like super like glued and locked into the moment. Just like we were recording with our
with your memory.
Yeah, I think Vera was such a long labor. We did a lot of filming with her, but Charlie came in like an hour.
Yeah, you said she was a week early, so
and she came like this. We got to the hospital and that girl was here. I tell you, I caught her too. I was the one that caught her. I caught Vera and Charlene both, and and so that. But Charlie was so quick. Charlie was so quick. So yeah,
they're all different, you know.
Yes.
My second came 3.5 weeks early. So I understand being surprised and having nothing prepared and being like, WTF. I'm driving myself to the hospital, contractions, calling my husband. It was a whole thing. So
I was driving yourself. That's a power move.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Look at all these strong women on this call right now. Gotta say.
Love that.
Yeah.
I have to say, and then we're gonna let you guys go. This was so enlightening and also like really, like Hallie said, wholesome. I feel like when I came on, I wasn't really sure what to expect. And then you see all these questions that people have on Reddit, and I'm sure I'm not saying anything shocking. Like people are like, oh my gosh, they have a cult or they're brainwashed. But hearing you guys speak and like tell your story, I think has been very, very helpful. And like my heart is like warm and like very happy for you guys.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. That really means a lot, actually. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being so generous with your time and sharing your story.
And I'm sorry people are so judgmental. Like it shouldn't be that. Like love who you want.
That's the world. That's the world. But you know what? We're not here for the half of the world that's judgmental. We're here for the half of the world that wants to be able to do something different and scared and can look at us and see that we're doing something different and it's just fine.
And it's love. Like love is love is love.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes, exactly. We make posts like that all the time. Love is love is love. Exactly.
Yeah. Amen.
You're doing
we need more
right.
of it.
Yes.
Yeah. We need more love in this world lately.
Yes, right. I agree.
Can you tell our listeners where they can watch and how they can find you on social media?
Yes. So tune in TLC Monday nights at 9/8 Central. And then we have a Instagram. It's called the Davis Family Official.
We're going to follow.
We'll be there. Following the journey. We love to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
so much. Ladies. It was so nice to meet
wonderful.
you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Yeah, you
Go
too.
kiss those babies.
Oh, we will.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Between Us Moms.
Don't forget to follow us for more mom life conversations and content, and subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.
And if you liked this episode, send it to a mom friend.
You know she'll get it too.
See you next time.